Conversations with Indie Authors.
Super, but you did Celine Dion's Las Vegas show.
Yeah.
What years were that? I don't think
I
I've
got
been.
hired in '02 and I was with her till May of '05.
Okay, so what all did you do? You were dancing then?
Yeah, so we actually
Wow.
got hired. There was an initial 9-month contract, 6 months in Belgium, where we were actually developing the show with the director, and that's where his studios were. Franco Dragone was the director, and he is the one who was the brilliance behind all of the Cirque de Soleil shows. So when Celine decided to do her show, that's the guy she wanted to direct her show. So we spent 6 months over there creating the show, and like every day we just get up and just play and experiment and like just everything from flying contraptions to like and everybody who was hired was a professionally trained dancer of some sort. I was a classical ballet dancer, but they had modern dancers, they had jazz dancers, they had like every kind of dancer, even character dancers, right? And just because you needed a unique individual to be one of the main characters in the show. So there was it was a long 6-month process of that over in Belgium, and then we moved to Vegas and we rehearsed in the Coliseum, the new theater there at Caesar's Palace, for 3 months, and then opened the show. And then I did the show for 3 years, and then that was enough of that.
That was enough of that. So what did you do after that? Because that's pretty incredible. You
Yeah.
went into becoming, I think everyone does this. Honestly, I think this is a thing. A real estate agent.
Yeah. Yeah, because I didn't want to. I had no education. I mean, I barely graduated high school, and I was already performing around the world. Right. In fact, my last year of school was a GED with a bunch of adults. Right, because I was already like in an apprenticeship with the Royal Winnipeg Ballet at the time, and so I'm going to ballet school during the day, and then I'm going to get my GED at night. And like that was like my whole life was just very upside down from what a lot of people experience through their high school years. Right, it was just very different. But after that, like when I was done performing, I'm like, okay, now what? And real estate kind of made the most sense to me. And it was something I didn't have to get a 4-year degree for. I went to school every day for about a month, and then I was able to get my license and start working after that. So yeah, I went into real estate, and it's really funny because it was in the real estate there where I actually started to connect to my spiritual life. And you wouldn't think that, because you would think, like being in the theater, that there would be more spirituality there, but it wasn't. It was kind of toxic a little bit. Like, you see those old videos of ballet teachers like literally torturing their students. Like that was the environment, right? There was still that real hangover of that, where you're being treated as an artist like a child, right? And that just didn't really work for me anymore. So yeah, when I got my real estate license and started making a bunch of money, and I found that it was so interesting because I went to school with a bunch of people and they all kind of just washed out. And in my first year of real estate, I made $250,000. I was like, huh, maybe I'm doing something that other people aren't. I don't know what it is. My second year in real estate, I made $500,000. I was like, huh. And like nobody that I went to school with was around, right? And I was just doing what came naturally to me. And that's when I started to see, oh, I'm actually doing something a little bit different here. And I started to like kind of excavate my mind. Like, what am I doing here that is different than other people, right? Because I have less training than them. And when I walked into the real estate office in my first day, I did not know how to send a fax. Now, mind you, this was 2003, right? I did not know how to do anything. I had no office skills. I know how to do ballet, and that was it. That was the only skill I was bringing to the real estate negotiating table. Okay. Okay.
You know what? You could do some really cool walkthroughs. You could do.
Oh, sure. And today we're doing a Boston walkthrough. Okay, good. Yes, could be delightful. But it really took me into examining like my thought patterns, my mindset. But then on top of that, in the real estate world, they're so dialed into success that they'll do anything. And they are leading the world on studying manifesting. And that's where I started to learn more about the manifesting mindset, right? And then once I started to get that, and I was like, oh, I'm kind of already doing a lot of this, but I started to put some structure to it, right? And I'm like, this is why certain people succeed and others do not. right? And I started in association with, kind of my spirit world kind of coming into the picture. I realized that what I was doing differently than the people that I went to school with is that I was looking at the day-to-day tasks in a different light. I would go door knocking and not get any business and still continue to do it. They would go door knocking and not get any business and stop. Now, over the years, I never got any business from the doors, but I never saw that as why I was doing it. I wasn't going to the doors to get business at the doors. I was going to the doors to send a strong message to the universe. Hey, knock, knock, knock. I'm here for business. I'm showing up for myself. This is what we're doing. And there's no question about it. Like it was the, part of me, the part that I could do, the part that I was in control of, right? And then just also being really clear and intentional about my day, that like I was seeing the energy work behind all this stuff and they were just seeing the stuff, right? And my business, once I started door knocking, tripled. Again, I got no business from the doors.
I've been talking to my husband about that. Really funny enough is that really it's all about being seen. How seen are you? How many people are seeing you? Because the more people see you, the studies have shown like it takes like a couple of times, and the more people see you, the more they're familiar with you. They're like, oh yeah, it's that person.
And familiarity builds trust.
Yes, it does. Yeah. It does. And if you're there consistently, well, kind of like YouTube, if you're there consistently, it will pay off.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and there was an interesting study that the National Association of Realtors put out, and they said, what was the reason you chose your agent? The number one answer was because they were there.
Yeah.
So when I started teaching my students, I'm like, okay, what does that mean? How can you be there? Where is there? Like, break that down. What does that mean to you? Like, so there was all these like ways to kind of incorporate these kind of amorphic, weird, ethereal concepts into real strategies and steps for clearer success, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So do you think you used that in your ballet before that, and that's why it was such an easy transition?
Oh, for sure. But I didn't know I was doing it. And that's why it was so confusing to me, because when I'm doing like ballet, right, it's all energy work, right? That's all I'm focusing on is the energy of my body, the expression of what I'm doing, right? And it's all just the energy behind the motion, because the motion without feeling or, anything is nothing. It's hollow. And so that's what I was bringing even to my door knocking experience, things like that. And that's what kind of made things different for me, I think.
I love it. So many people, no matter what, like they do a long career and then become a real estate agent. And
well, it's a really nice life. It's not for everyone, because it's the only job where you don't get paid. You have absolutely no guarantee of an income, and you actually have to pay to go to work. You have to pay for your desk fees, for your license fees. You just have to pay. And again, there's no guarantee that you're going to make $1, right? So it's not for everyone.
Even realtors that don't do that well still do okay.
Yeah, for sure.
But you can make it as successful as you want. I want to talk about your book.
Oh, yay. Which one?
Well, the one I have here is, there's two: Journey of a Dark Shaman trilogy.
Right.
And the Language in Light series.
Right. So those are the two series I have out right now. And I'll just tell you a little bit about each, just a real quick synopsis. So this Journey of a Dark Shaman is based loosely on my life as a spiritual being, right? It's me and the horrific upbringing that I was put through, and my escape from, kind of religious torment to a ballet company, right? But I didn't want to write my story. Like unless you're Anne Frank, nobody cares, right?
Right.
I wanted to write my story, but on a fictional character, right? So that it could live a little bit more in the mystical world, that it could live a little bit more. So rather than being in a ballet company, my main character is a hooker. Well, because I'm so fascinated by things that live in polar opposites yet exist in harmony in the same place, right? Like sex and spirituality. Right, like those things should be, and the tension that they bring together, because it's a book about spiritual evolution of self, right?
Mm-hmm.
You watch the main character, and I designed this purposely because like I wanted a roadmap to show personal evolution of self, a roadmap to enlightenment. If this like broken hooker can achieve enlightenment, then you can too. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to show step by step his ahas, the process of his mind, so that you can see clearly, his evolution in his mind, so that the reader hopefully is evolved as well. So book one, foreign to me, is really the main character conquering self, right? And then book two, broken like me, is him conquering relationship. And book three hasn't been out yet, but it's made of me, and it'll be out. We're doing a launch in March, so
Nice.
that's coming up. So that's that series, and this series has actually been picked up by a woman from the LA Times who runs the Festival of Books that they do each summer. And so she's writing the script for it, and hopefully it'll get picked up and turned into something. But she is just, I mean, she's so thrilled. She has a trans child, and she's just been really, a big advocate of the LGBT community. And she's just, she's a poet, for God's sakes. On her taxes, it says occupation, poet. Who does How amazing is that? Like, just for that, I want to know this woman, right? And she has incredible sensitivities, and I just know that she is the right person for the job. So her and I have been working together, and so we should have a script. We're shooting for September. We're going to start shopping that around. So that's where those are. And then I have my other series, which takes on a very light topic of conversion therapy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wait, is that still happening?
What is that still
Is
happening?
that-
Conversion therapy is only outlawed fully in 22 states and Washington, D.C. The rest of the other states have loopholes in which you can still practice. So
I did not know that.
that's where we are in America. I myself don't have a very good, obviously, upbringing, as evidenced by books. Like somebody reads my book and then like, are you okay? I've had to come through a lot. I really have. And, for that, I am blessed, right? The problem is the portal, right? Whatever problem you have, be blessed for that. Look for why it is there, right? I've done a lot of work on my own personal trauma that my parents put me through. And I can honestly say now, having worked with it this much, and written, several books on the topic,
Right.
that I can honestly say that, I really view my parents as my guardian angels, right? They were the ones who took me to the depths of my soul. And there's learning there. There's so much learning there and information. And like they taught me what I'm made of, right? And there's no question about that. I can survive anything pretty much, you know what I mean? Like, and I see them as really my angels who helped forge me in those fires so that I can be the person that I am today. And that's not nothing. So it's all good.
Yeah, I agree. I want my kids to see me as a support, but I think we all mess up. I think that we're humans and we're all on a journey trying to figure things out. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff I wouldn't do like my parents did, but I could say now I'm grateful. I would say I spent a lot of years not very grateful for a lot of things that happened. But now I'm like, okay, I think the biggest thing I want my children to know is that no matter what happens to you in life, you can handle it.
Yes.
That's really it. That's once you know that, nothing else. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I always tell them, I'm like, hey, no need to stress because it's all taken care of. And what if you die? Well, if you're dead, it's taken care of, isn't it?
It is. It is. It absolutely is. Like there's really nothing to worry about. The way I look at it is this. There's 3 dates that you can't change, right? The day that you're born, can't change that. The day that you die, that's eternally written. If you believe that time goes in a circle rather than in a linear line, right? That is predetermined before you even come in the day you die, right? And then also the lifetime in which you evolve also is predetermined. You can go through many lifetimes, but there is one special lifetime that you're being called to this moment, right? To evolve, to actually achieve enlightenment. And what I love about the time that we're living in right now is that it's really the intersection of science and religion. Like we really are getting to the intersection of science and spirituality. I mean, it's all one. We're just like understanding it better. And so when I'm working with someone as a shamanic practitioner in a session, I'm really working on moving the energy of them towards a known goal. Whereas enlightenment before was very much just this, oh, amorphous thing, you know, but I'm like, you know, you're getting there when your skin starts clearing up. Like there's very real ways that you start to discover differences within yourself along the line. And, you know, if you watch my YouTube channel, because, oh my gosh, when I started it, I was so angry and I was just yelling, and I knew that I was not awesome. I knew that I had work to do. I was really struggling. In 2014, I was diagnosed with a incurable neurological movement disorder. Right? It's like MS. It's the same one that Celine Dion has, my former boss. Her and I, yay us. So anyhow, that really took me on the road, right? Okay, you're gonna die. Oh, good. Okay, great. What do I do with that? Right? You know what I mean? And so that really was the thing that also really pushed me, you know, down that path. And oh, again, the problem is the portal. I am so blessed. I hope that everybody has the opportunity to come face to face with their own mortality, right? You're going to die in not infinite number of days, right? Mm-hmm. So what are we doing with that? What are you preparing for that? And again, when I'm seeing someone, you know, in session, you know, we really spend a lot of time focusing on all of that. What does that mean for them? Like, let's uncover this. Like, there's just, because there's so much information now, the path is clear. The only problem is people just need to get a little more curious.
I think that's a good point. I think that, well, every generation, I think, improves upon the last.
Yes.
I think right now, like waking up or enlightenment, as you put it, or whatever you want, you know, having the dark night of the soul and coming out the other end, like all of this is actually becoming part of business. So many of the independent authors that I interview, this is like their stories. They're like, I'm sharing my story in a fictional way that, you know, expresses my whole journey of awakening.
Of self, yes.
Yeah, and like that, I'm like, this is beautiful, because the premise is you have to fix yourself, heal yourself, so we can all have better relationships with each other and make a better world.
Listen, there's only one way to stop the war. And that's we all put down our weapons.
Yeah.
It's that simple. Mm-hmm. Drop your weapons. End the war. Stop fighting. Stop fixing. Stop existing in a world where you need the duality of the ego. Yes. You don't need the duality of the ego. You need the singularity of love, right? Because there's two ways to exist, right? And most people live in the world of good and evil, right? Because the majority of our, you know, institutions teach what? They teach good and they teach evil. What happens when you stop teaching evil? What happens when you're only left with love, where love is the answer and the response in everything that you do? You can get there using only high vibration words. And that's what I love about the circles I've been in core shamanism, because they look at everything as energy. They would never say words that live in the dense vibration of ick. It would not be welcomed in those circles. It's high vibration words only, where everybody is loving and supporting one another 100% of the time. And nobody is allowed to devolve into, you know, attack words, you know, like energy. None of that exists in those circles. And that's why, you know, I'm such a big fan of, you know, shamanism as a practice.
But you offer classes and courses or coaching?
I do. I mostly do one-on-one coaching, because what I do is very specific to the individual, right? I'm just really focused on them, where they are in their evolution, and moving them towards enlightenment. And so, yes, I do offer classes that can be on Zoom. If you're remote, or if you're in the greater Palm Springs area, I will certainly come to you.
Oh, Palm Springs. Hot.
Yeah. Not a bad place to be in January, though.
Right, yeah, that wouldn't be bad. That
Yeah.
wouldn't be bad. I'm from Southern California, and I'm like, I love Southern California, but I don't like anything that's really above 65.
Yeah. I'm Canadian, so I feel your pain. I get it.
You are active on your YouTube channel. A lot of people aren't, but you are active. I went and watched not all your videos, but I watched several of them, trying to get
Thank
a
you.
taste of who you were.
Right.
Yeah, but you were active, so people should go visit you on your YouTube channel. Mostly you're talking more personally. You're
Right.
sharing more. Yeah, that's mostly what your YouTube channel is, right?
Right. It's,
Yeah.
so I call it spiritual disco because it's me giving kind of a talk on a topic, right? And each week is a different topic. I'm taking a bit of a break from it right now because I got to the point in my spiritual growth where I just wanted to make sure I wasn't creating for myself a false god. Right. Anytime we give energy to something, whether it's the need for a following or it's the need for attention, or like that's a false god that we put energy outside of ourselves to live like an effigy that just sucks and siphons energy off us, and we wonder why we're tired. Right. So I wanted to make sure that I was setting this up properly in an energetic way so that I wasn't being beholden to it, that I wasn't personally attached to it in any way, that I could do it in a clean and free way. So anyways, this is the kind of stuff I talk about on my YouTube channel. If you're wanting a taste, but I really wanted to do it as like, I wanted to record my own progress as a soul, as a spirit. And because again, I'd been sick for so long and I was just angry. And I knew that I wasn't being awesome in the world. And I was yelling at people online and starting Facebook fights. And like, I was just that lousy human that had a lot of rage within me.
Yeah.
And so, but at the same time, I had done a lot of this work and I knew where I could get to. I just wasn't there. And so I started recording myself every week, kind of giving my talks and kind of like, but also analyzing myself back and like, okay, where am I not being awesome? I'm like, oh, you're holding that belief? Like I hold that belief. You know what I mean? Like as I hear myself say it and I'd be like, no, I don't want to be that person. Right. And so it continued and it continued and continued to, oh my gosh. I mean, now where I am in my life, I am so different in the world. I do not operate with really anger or frustration, mostly because I've learned the purpose of those things, right? I've taken the time to dissect within my own mind the purpose of frustration, which is to let go, right? That's a little knock, knock, knock from the universe. Oh, by the way, if you're frustrated, you've done everything you can and it's time to let go, right? And once you understand the purpose of frustration, then you can start to understand the purpose of anger, right? Which is to say from the universe that your personal boundaries have been crossed. And not that you get to keep that boundary, but it's just saying, oh, by the way, here it is, this little bit of anger that you're experiencing when the person does this. Do you want that there? Is that something you're choosing? Or is that old, programming that's just left over from, I don't know, whenever? So it's really going through and determining, like for myself, my own core beliefs, ways to exist in the world. And so that's what I started doing. Like I said, I'm taking a little bit of a break now, but I will be back soon because I just have so much. Oh my gosh, the work I'm doing now, mostly because I found my teacher. I don't know if you've had this experience of just suddenly like finding your teacher, the person you feel like the universe has assigned to you to learn from, at least for a bit, right? Mm-hmm. And so when you find that person, that really changes your course of learning as well.
It does. It opens up a whole lot more. There is a lot of, I've been looking at that. My whole family, we've been looking at like different belief patterns. There's been a lot that I've been discovering, like I didn't realize I had. They were unconscious.
Yes.
And I'm like, oh my gosh, I've kept myself in this place this whole time and I didn't even realize I could have been free. Yeah. Which is funny because one of my main drivers in life is freedom. I'm like, I must be free.
Yeah, but that's why you need a coach, is because you're unaware of your own blind spots. Right? Yeah. You can't see your own blind spots. And when you're working, in energy work in the way that I am, you need someone to point them out because they are not visible to you, right? So.
Absolutely. So, David, if anyone connected with you today, how can they get a hold of you?
Oh, well, you can just go to either my website. Well, everything's Dale Allen-Rowse, DaleAllenRowse. ROWSE. So my website is daleallenrowse.com. YouTube is youtube.com/Dale Allen-Rowse. And all of the social media is at Dale Allen-Rowse.
Perfect. That's super easy. And I will put it in the description box below for everyone to make it super easy for them. And so your coaching and everything is on your website as well.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And you can even sign up for a free 20-minute sessions just for us to get to know each other and see if this is going to be a match for us. If I can help you, I will tell you what I specialize in. And that is really moving people who are stuck or who don't feel in control of their own life. If you're feeling powerless, if you're feeling stuck, right? I will, shake you up a little bit, but I will certainly put you back in the driver's seat of your own life, because what we don't realize is that we're manifesting it all. And it's really hard to be upset about things that you're in control of, right? And so once we get you to understand that you don't have problems, you're just not that good at manifesting yet. And then we teach you the science of manifesting, and your life starts to really fall into place, right? That is personal power, right? That is you learning how to imbue yourself with personal power. Personal power can only ever be self-granted. Your place in the world can only ever be self-granted. Your finances can only ever be self-granted. You're making it all. You're responsible for it all. Like I said, you don't have problems. You're just not that good at manifesting what you actually want yet, but that's a science, and you can learn that.
Very good. I love it. Thank you so much for being here today and sharing this, the very personal journey that helps you and others as well.
Yeah, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
The Zarlequan Indieverse.